Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
That's right. I'm your host who started his existence in an alternate dimension, Joe Wakefield.
I started mine in Hyrule. Hi, I'm Ryan Lang.
That's a Zelda reference.
It is.
So, returning listeners, thank you very much for coming back. I'm glad we haven't scared you off yet. We'll try harder and be really, really weird this time.
Your hair looks great too. Thanks.
Oh,
Yeah.
Becky, great great nose job, looking good.
Hi, Beck.
Gerald, the button up. You're finally looking your age. You're gonna get that date. I swear. Ask the barista.
He's slaying it.
And all of you, remember to please download the episode, because downloading the episode is the best way to support the show. And if you're a returning listener and you want to support the show, like I said, you don't have to just download this episode. You can download all the episodes. Just take your time. Go through all 89, I think.
There's a lot, right?
Just go
Holy moly.
Download. There's nothing, right? It's just time out of your day that you'll never get back. Give it to us.
And we honestly really appreciate it. And we see you. We see when it happens, when the old ones get downloaded. And it touches our hearts.
Yeah, as like a little dot on a map on a website. We're like,
Mhm.
oh, thank you, Tennessee. We
That's
appreciate it.
That's
well
right.
done.
We are big in Tennessee.
For some, yeah. Not that I have an issue with that. Just like it is weird.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love Tennessee.
Yeah, we didn't promote exclusively in Tennessee, so I'm just trying to figure out like how did we nail that market?
I guess we just fit right in like a puzzle piece.
Oh, and if you guys are just not returning listeners, you're newbies. You haven't been to the show before. You haven't listened to the show before. Well, you might be wondering, what is it you guys do here?
Noob.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you. What we normally do here is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy.
Oh.
Sometimes it's cryptozoology. Other times it's a haunting, a myth, or a legend, but it's always spooky.
Oh my god.
That is why it is in our first section, spooky stuff.
Oh.
And today we have a very, very cool one. We actually have an interview with Nicole Beauchamp. And she is the author of Haunted Detroit and Haunted Bay City, and I believe Haunted Pubs and Bars of Michigan. And this year she has another book coming out, which is Haunted French Quarter Hotels, which is New Orleans.
Not for the faint of heart.
No. So if you like ghosts, you guys are going to love this week's spooky stuff.
I know I do.
Well, the section that comes after that is a little thing we like to call disclosure discussion. That one's all about aliens.
I'm just asking questions. UFOs, aliens, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, maybe even a little bit of time travel. That's the kind of stuff we talk about. And today we have a really cool story from Michigan.
Yeah, because today is a whole Michigan episode. This is another one of those bottle episodes where we focus on one topic. And today's topic, spooky, creepy, sci-fi Michigan all around.
That's right.
And then we get to a second half of our show. The latter half, if you will, is all dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Sometimes we have celebrity guests, although this time it's in our spooky stuff.
That's right.
Other times we have quizzes or games, or we have, headlines or celebrity deaths,
All that
audio dramas. It's actually a packed episode because we do have another Tattered Tales audio drama at the end of the show. So you guys are going to be able to enjoy that.
Oh,
A little tale we like to call Four Levers. So that whole thing, they're together. The beginning being the spooky, the second half being the pop culture. What we have here is a delicious moon pie of a pot. You know what? I want to change it. What are those Hostess cakes with the coconut and the marshmallow? That makes a delicious snow pie.
Snowball.
Snowball of a Hostess cake known as the Earthling Entertainment Podcast.
Not the taste, the consistency. That just makes me think of Zombieland.
Fair enough. I got to be honest, guys. I was trying to switch up our little spiel. I go through that speech at the beginning of every episode, and after doing so many, I'm just like, I need to just be a little bit more casual, or a little bit more this, a little bit more that. And you know what? I think I nailed it.
You went full snowball, bro.
Full snowball. That sounds dirty as hell.
It kind of does. The snowball effect, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyways, so Ryan, this week I watched. It's not a very new movie. It came out, I think, last year. It's the VHS series. Have you seen any of those?
I saw the first one.
Okay, well, for those of you who don't know, it's a found footage series. There's 7 of them, and they're anthologies, so they have little segments. And this new one is called VHS Beyond, and it was all pretty much about aliens. There's a couple, yeah, all aliens. There's a couple sections that weren't all aliens, actually. There was this weird dog lady one, and there was I don't want to give any spoilers, and another one with a robot. But most of them are framed around these like 2 tapes that were discovered, and they were both labeled proof, that were like bought at a flea market, and they edited the tapes together to make this fun anthology thing. And the reason why I did it is because if you remember right, a few weeks back, I think, man, almost 4 or 5 now, we had an interview with Alan Maxon. Well, he actually was in that VHS movie, which is why I wanted to check it out. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now is I think you should watch it, Ryan.
I really want to. Gosh, my list of stuff I've got to watch is just so long now, man. I haven't. I've been moving, so I just haven't had the time.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Well, what I was getting at is sci-fi horror, like aliens being scary in movies. What is your favorite one of those?
Ooh, aliens being scary. I mean, obvious. I can't help. I gotta say, Alien, of course.
True, true. But to be more specific, what I'm referring to are aliens interacting with humans in modern day Earth, not so much a sci-fi film as much as aliens visiting us. Do you know what I'm saying?
When I was a kid, I never saw the whole movie, but I literally walked in when the messed up abduction scene from Fire in the Sky.
Oh,
And that messed me up when they like put like the elastic or whatever on his face, and like they like cut open like a slit so he could breathe, and he's like screaming, and then they just shove a bunch of like gloppy goo into his mouth, and they're like doing all these crazy things to him. That scared the ever loving bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
Very horrific. And I'm sure looking it up didn't actually help, because if you do that, you're like, oh, and it's based on a true story.
It fucking happened.
Wonderful.
No, really. And no, it's incredible. And I've heard that guy talk too. So I believe the man. Like it's such a believable story, and it's terrifying. Even though I know they took liberties with Fire in the Sky, you know, he said nothing like that happened when it came to like the horror of it all, but like the rest of it was pretty spot on.
Well, if you're dealing with being abducted and being someplace you don't understand and seeing beings that you don't understand, like all of that experience is horrifying. Although putting it on film, it just looks like you guys sitting on a table going, ah,
Yeah.
ah. So you gotta like, cover his face, and like, do you have to do all that stuff? That kind of that adds to the horror element in a way that people can identify with, Ryan.
And I think that was probably the first time I ever like saw a gray, because that was like they used the grays.
I mean,
in
they were
that.
kind of pinkish, but yes, they
Yeah.
used the grays. I remember.
And like I said, so that I think that's probably what started me on my whole alien obsession journey. Was
Really?
probably that movie, because like I said, I was young and I just walked into the room and that was the scene that was on. So I had no context.
Terrible timing, Ryan.
I'm just like, that's what aliens do. Oh my god.
Mine I think was X-Files, because my dad and my sister, who is older than me, always watched X-Files together. That was like their bonding thing, but I was a little too little. I got scared, so like I had to either not be in the room or whatever, but I would come out and peek in, and that was my first experience. But have you ever seen 2013's Dark Skies?
You know what? I did. Isn't that the one where like the kid was kind of just like staring up and like going like comatose?
Yeah, and had
And
the weird
stuff.
birds hitting the glass. And,
Yes,
yeah.
I did. I watched that before. Yeah, but I think I only saw it once.
Well, I really like that one. Kerry Russell's in that one. She's kind of the name in the film, and that one scared the crap out of me.
And what was that new one, like No One Can Help You or whatever? The one where they had like the tall grays. That was like a new one that just came out. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, we actually reviewed it on
We
one of
did.
these episodes. I wish I had that information offhand.
But no, that was a good one too. And that's relatively new. Everybody should see that.
Well, guys, if you have a favorite horror alien movie, I would love to hear about it. Tell us. Feel free to email us at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on our Facebook or Instagram. That'd be great.
And we're on TikTok as well. Earthling Entertainment. It's the shortening of entertainment.
For those of you who don't understand abbreviations.
just wanted to throw it out there.
Give
us a follow.
Absolutely. And guys, I think it's time that we jump into our spooky stuff. And like I said, we have an interview with author Nicole Beauchamp. And yeah, Haunted Detroit, because this is our Michigan
That's
episode.
right.
Excellent.
Michiganders.
I mean, obviously, this is just going to be called Earthlings in Michigan, right? Or Earthlings go to Michigan, because we have that three name title thing.
Earthlings of Michigan.
Earthlings of Michigan. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyways, enjoy this week's spooky stuff. Hey guys, I'm sitting here with Nicole Beauchamp, and she is an awesome author who you may have heard of before. She wrote Haunted Bay City, Michigan in 2020. She wrote Haunted Detroit in 2022 and Haunted Bars and Pubs of Michigan in 2023. And there's just more coming. I don't want to spoil her next book. She'll talk about it in a bit. But beyond that, she founded the Tri-City Ghost Hunters Society in 2009 and was even on the cover, the February cover of Paranormal Underground magazine. So we couldn't be happier to have her on the show. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Better now that I'm talking with you. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. As you can see, I have had several cups of coffee and I'm just so energetic.
I think I need to take a little tip and go make myself a cup.
Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit because we are right next to Detroit. You wrote a book in 2022, like I mentioned, called Haunted Detroit. And what made you decide Detroit? Because I know the first book you did was Bay City because that's the area you're from. So what made your second choice be the D?
That's a good question. There was several things that went into that, but first and foremost, like I've been going to Detroit since I've been a child. My parents love Detroit, and because of them, I love Detroit too. I got to uh have dinner in Greektown, multiple nights, and I've been to Red Wing games, and I've been to Tigers games, just like really experienced all the magic there was to experience of Detroit. Um, but once the first book came out, it was so successful, and I had a really profound paranormal encounter at historic Fort Wayne in Detroit. And so I thought, this has never been done before. And I guess the publisher had been reaching out to like different paranormal teams, like local to Detroit, and nobody wanted to do it. So, I was like, if it hasn't been done before, I feel it has to be done. Detroit is too good of a city to not be in the Haunted America's collection. So I decided to write the book then, and I definitely don't have any regrets. I do most of my like library gigs and things like that down in the Detroit area, and people are lovely, and it's always an amazing time. So it's been
Sure.
a blessing for sure.
May I please ask, what was this profound experience you were talking about? Because we would love to hear your personal encounter.
Definitely. So it's actually in the preface of the Haunted Detroit book. But what had happened was it was like, I guess, my first major public ghost hunt with the Tri-City Ghost Hunter Society. And, I just thought like nothing could possibly happen. And I don't know why I had been thinking that, because I always like had paranormal experiences, like even as a child. But I guess like part of my brain is just like, yeah, right. That was an isolated incident. It's never going to happen again.
Sure.
So I was at historic Fort Wayne, and we walked into, the first Sally Port, then walked into the second Sally Port, kind of set up in the back of the Powder magazine. I was just sitting there with two other investigators behind me, and I was taking picture after picture and was able to capture what we believe to be a Civil War soldier on camera. And it's his silhouette and everything. And, we ended up counting the bricks, figured he was approximately 5 foot in height. And it was just such an amazing experience. I had the coalition backing me up. It was considered one of only three paranormal or ghost photographs that were ever taken, apparition photographs ever taken at historic Fort Wayne. So
That's a
it made
huge deal. That's awesome.
yes, it was a really big deal, and it just further fueled, I guess, my love of the paranormal. I mean, I didn't know if that could be possible to love it more, but when you get like evidence like that, it just fuels you to continue going and checking out more places. And because of all my time ghost hunting at historic Fort Wayne, which I did go like very, very frequently, literally almost every weekend for about 5 years. It fueled my desire to learn more about the city. And I learned about, the Whitney and the Leland Hotel and all the other creepy places. So it was a really good decision to go there that night and take my shot at trying to experience something paranormal in Detroit.
That's awesome. I've eaten at the Whitney, but I've never been able to do any kind of paranormal investigation. So
Mhm.
I think that would be a good one. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
So it's kind of I don't know how to word it really, but there's two kinds of trains of thought when it comes to spirits. Do
Mhm.
you, in your personal belief, maybe you have a third option I never thought of, but do you, in your personal belief, believe that ghosts are the souls of those who have passed on, or do you believe they're reflection of the events and emotions that occurred in that place? Because it feels like those are the two trains of thought.
Yes. Well, you know what? I think by and large, they are the people that have passed on. Like we just went to Auschwitz last November, and obviously didn't investigate it, and like that's like a really kind of negative thing anyhow to even think about investigating it. But
I don't know if you'd want to talk. It seems
yeah,
I feel like the emotion
yeah,
of just that place would be overpowering.
you don't really need to investigate it. It's just walking in there that the energy is just different. It's very, very different, and I really can't explain it. I mean, you just have to go and experience it on your own. But um you know, I think like those kind of traumatic events, I mean, in a way do, yes, leave some sort of an imprint, but the imprint was left on the people that were affected because the trees don't care. The ground probably doesn't care. It's like th- they weren't the ones suffering. So I really do believe it was the people that in these type of tragic situations that are profoundly affected, and that once they die, maybe are stuck in like some sort of a residential loop or something where
Kind of middle place, maybe.
yeah, where it's like maybe they don't want to, like, I don't know if you if you ever watched American Horror Story Coven, but when the lady dies and she's in her own like personal hell and she has to keep reliving it, like it's maybe something like that where it's like they can't exactly go, they are forced to stay in that place. um but also I think like there is such a thing as like an elemental or inhuman spirits who you know uh, I mean, they could be obviously a variety of things depending on your religious beliefs or lack thereof.
Sure.
But like
Sometimes that informs what's happening.
exactly, but like I think like in human, in a lot of cases, like a lot of people like to say yes, demon, but I think it could just be something negative. Like I mean, there's people I've known that have walked into a room and you can feel the shift from their negative presence. So it's like, it could be just something like that, like a really like the energy of something really nasty, that foreboding kind of feeling. I don't really know how to put it maybe into words, and like you think I would being an author, but some things I think are just are not able to be put into words. So I hope that makes sense.
Sure. I want to know what your favorite one is that you've checked out.
In both Bay City and Haunted Bars and Pubs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's pick Bay City, bars and pubs, and then if Detroit, if you didn't already mention that, but I assume you did, that was clearly your favorite. Maybe one from Detroit you haven't mentioned.
Okay. Well, let's get this out of the way first. So my favorite location that I wrote about in Detroit is oddly enough the Leland Hotel. Now I know that it's not exactly the swankiest place in town, right? It's very, very run down. I lovingly refer to it as the Shitz Carlton. However, I love it because there is so much history that backs up the paranormal occurrences people have experienced there. There is so much um like the building can just tell so much of a story. It's just a wild place. And if you've never been there, it's the kind of place that you like full floors are empty, but yet the lights are on, the beds are made, and it's like they're expecting guests, but there's a makeshift wall preventing you from accessing the floor. Or there's rooms that are like full of stuff like someone had lived there, but they're not coming back for it. So it's just still there in that state of like
Waiting.
yeah, just like full of people's stuff. And it's just an odd place, but it's a very, very interesting place in my opinion. Um Bay City, my favorite haunted location in Bay City is hands down the historic Masonic Temple. I love that building. I've done a couple public ghost hunts there now. I want to continue doing them. Every time we go there and do a ghost hunt, we have paranormal encounters, lots of activity. There's a resident ghost there named Charlie who is often seen manifesting as just a torso or legs. So not exact. I mean, he was a wonderful person in life, but he doesn't always manifest maybe in the most comforting of ways.
Maybe he's just
And
having some fun. Maybe it's closer to Beetlejuice than we realize. And
right,
they're just messing
exactly,
with us.
exactly. And then haunted bars and pubs. That's a really good one. There's so many good ones in that book. Um, oh my gosh, to pick a favorite.
Well, I mean, something about pubs usually end up
Yeah,
being haunted because a lot of times these are historical buildings that, in order for them to stay open, they turn it into a bar or put a bar on the first floor, something like that.
yes,
So I imagine you have quite a list in that book. But I just skimmed it and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what to focus
yeah.
on.
Well, the cool thing about that book is like, I got to go there and talk to a lot of the owner, go to the different locations, talk to the owners, try their special drinks. And um, I love so many places in that book. Like the Sea Pub at Canterbury Village is a really cool place. And I think Canterbury Village in general is a really cool place. A lot of people don't really know the history of it. But when you really, peel the layers back, look at the history, it's a really creepy place. And it's kind of like now, I guess, the picturesque like family destination.
I
Like
was
they
gonna
do.
say, I've taken my
Yeah.
2-year-old there several times. We went to a con there, we went to a medieval fair there. We go to
Oh,
Canterbury
I
Village all the
know.
time. I had no
I know.
idea it had a haunted history.
I know, and it doesn't seem like it would. And I love that too. I mean, they got the Yates apple orchard like set up there so you can get donuts and cider, and they got Easter egg hunts for kids and Halloween walkthroughs, and it's just like the way they do it up for every holiday season, the effort they put in is incredible. But yeah, it's the village itself is so haunted, and there's a
Please
lot of
tell me,
really
yeah.
dark stories. So that is definitely one of my favorites. And I also really love kind of the history of Coonan's Irish Hub right here in Bay City because that there's a resident ghost there too. His name, I believe, is Walter, if my memory is serving me correctly. And he was like the original owner of the pub. I mean, like he started literally the pub that was on Johnson Street, and it has kind of grown into what is Coonan's today. I mean, he had a different building, and then he, moved his building, and then it just kind of flourished basically with the changing of owners and everything into what it is today. But Yeah, I mean, people will be sitting there at the bar and they'll see the resident ghost standing right behind them, kind of looking at him right in the mirror. So it's unsettling for sure.
I'm reminded of Disney's Haunted Mansion. At the end of that ride, they drive by a mirror and you looks like there's a hologram of a ghost next to you. I could only
Hmm.
imagine how unsettling that would be while sitting at a bar.
Yeah. Well, yes, for sure. But I think that's what makes it so fun because it's like I kind of love, I- well, I love horror films so much, and that's what I grew up with watching. Looking for, I guess, the jump scares at every turn. So I love that kind of idea of there being something beyond you there, and you can't see it with your eyes like you can't see it like standing in front of you with your eyes, but you can see it in this mirror with your eyes, which is like a portal to the other side, essentially, or something to that nature. So it's
Makes
like,
sense. It's something
yeah,
about light refracting. Who knows, man?
yeah, I don't know what it is, but I've even like when I was a kid, like I used to stand in front of the mirror with my friends and call out to Bloody Mary and everything. Like I was always kind of hoping for that experience, but I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I've had it yet, but maybe it'll be something that'll happen in the future.
I was definitely afraid of mirrors as a kid because of Poltergeist 3, because in that film all the reflections were portals for ghosts to walk out of. So when you tell me that you're looking at a mirror and you might see a ghost, that's where I'm like, I will go to the next bar. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
It's kind of like keeping your closet open after that first movie.
there's just something like inherently terrifying about the idea of something being in the mirror. I don't know if you ever watched Haunting of Bly Manor on
Yeah.
Netflix. It started out, I'm going to be honest, it started out with so much promise. It was so good and it kind of got lost on me, and I think it was just maybe the storyline got a little too deep or something, but I love how like she's in the closet and she's already terrified beyond words, and then she sees that man in the mirror like looking at her, like that fear in that scene is palpable. Like I would have reacted the same way she did probably. she
Sure.
just she covers it, and I mean she's just having like a heart attack pretty much, but like yeah, that's valid for sure.
Excellent. Well, I guess I wanted to focus in more on for a moment if we can on an
Yeah.
actual story or legend that you found captivating. Is there something that you know off the top of your head well enough to kind of give us a little rundown of like this happened in 1834 on this building or anything like that you want to share that was particularly highlighted in one of your books?
Well, I definitely can tell you a little bit about some of the hauntings in Bay City because I did do ghost tours for a little while, but um, I guess it just kind of depends what we want to talk about. I can tell you for certain that between 1867 and 1900, on Water Street, essentially in Bay City, was called Hell's Half Mile, and it was our red light district. And it was an
For those of you listening, sorry to interrupt. For those of you listening, we're talking about Bay City, Michigan. It's like Hollywood, Florida. You have to specify.
right, right, right. But yeah, that place, um, Bay City again, it's kind of like that Canterbury Village thing. Like you go downtown Bay City today, it's filled with little boutique coffee shops and all kinds of little antique stores and specialty shops and stuff like that. And it's very welcoming. But back between 1865 and 1900, it was just a very bloody place to be. A lot of the lumbermen would go down to, Water Street when it was the last, well, I guess after they got paid from a full season of work, and they would blow their money on pretty much booze and women. And it was extremely violent. Like I said, I mean, it was like at the point where men would be biting off each other's noses they would give each other what they call logger smallpox, which is they would be wearing like their logging cleats and then like kick somebody in the face and disfigure them for the rest of their life. Just
So a rough
really,
neighborhood, yeah.
really rough stuff. So
I mean, out of
the
all the fights I've gotten into, which granted weren't many, I've never tried to bite
yeah,
someone's nose. I don't know if I'm
right.
I don't know if I'm logger tough.
Right. Well, because of that history, there's a lot of kind of paranormal happenings on Water Street and the businesses on Water Street. And one of those locations is the Bay City Antique Center. It's one of the largest antique malls in the region. And there was a story, I can't recall the girl's last name off the top of my head, but I believe her first name was Ashley. You have to remember, people, I wrote this book back in 20, it was published in 2020, started working on it in 2019. It's been a minute, but and that's the thing, is like my new book is very fresh in my mind because obviously I just did the edits for it, so yeah, that's why. But yeah, so local gal came to the antique center on a day when it was kind of not very busy outside. She was a record collector, and so she goes up to the second floor and she's kind of browsing through the records, and she can hear a sound but she doesn't know exactly where it's coming from. And so she's like kind of looking around, and she takes a few steps back, and then she sees like this Victorian lady. She's got like this brown hair kind of coiffed up, and she's wearing, like, I think it was like a purple dress. And anyway, she's got a really scary face. Like, I I think she looked like just horrific, like the face of death.
Disfigured.
What's that? Yeah, oh, not disfigured. Yep, but just like blackened eyes, and like no color in the face. Like her lips are all bruised, and like she just looked really horrifying. And so she kind of says to this girl that comes in, she goes, "Come here." And the girl's like, "Hell no," I think she just disappeared, but the girl was like out of there. Like, she just bolted out of there and never went back.
I don't blame her.
Yeah. It's like that building specifically used to be, prior to it being the antique center, was the Campbell House Hotel. And if you look at the front facade of the building, you can see a very faded Campbell's name kind of etched on the side. So, it probably did see a lot of that deviant behavior. I don't know if that's the best word for it, but back in the day.
Yes,
uh,
we'll say extracurricular activities.
Yes, by the very nature of what the building was. So it's, I believe, in my heart, personally tied to, the history of the city and everything. But, ghost stories are great in a lot of ways, of that. Many of them are kind of interpretive. So it's like, I may believe that it's tied to the history of the city, but somebody else may know of another story in which this woman may have, been lingering around. So it's a gamble.
Well, you know what? I think let's talk about your next book. So, your upcoming book is Haunted French Quarter Hotels, and specifically New Orleans is the French Quarter, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh
that's
man.
that was my biggest dream. I started working on that book back in 2014, and I am just filled with gratitude. I cannot believe that's finally going to be coming out this year. I mean, I am shocked.
What date, if I could ask? Or is it it's just the fourth quarter, third quarter? Like, what are we talking? When is it? When we get
Mhm.
released?
August 5th, it'll be
Ooh.
out. We're having a massive book release party on October 4th at the Haunted Hotel. This is the rumored home of the Axeman. A lot of people like to kind of hound me on social media and say, well, how do you know where the Axeman lived if you don't know who the Axeman's name? It's like, well, that's all covered in the book. And it's great.
More reason to read.
Exactly. And it's great to have New Orleans connections. I work with so many people that are directly based in New Orleans for this project, so many archivists and historians and other paranormal investigators that are super involved. So, yeah. And I did a lot of research on my own as well. So, it's it's definitely a labor of love, and I'm very excited for it to come out.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to spoil anything in the book because we want them to read, but you have a small story or something that you might want to hook our listeners into, like, this is why you should, check it out when it comes out.
Definitely. So I can tell you one of my personal stories. So
Yeah.
um just this past year, we had to do obviously cover shots for the book and headshots and things like that. We had stayed at the Andrew Jackson Hotel and had requested 208, which is the most haunted room. While my fiance were and I were laying in bed at night, we heard between us like a whisper. We were doing a spirit box session, and while conducting these sessions, we heard this very clear whisper come from between us. And so we recorded it, obviously. And when we played it back and kind of analyzed and everything, it sounds like it's saying, just so you know, everything is dead. And it's chilling.
Yeah,
So, I, yes, I do have the actual recording of that. I haven't actually uploaded it on social media, but probably something that I'm going to be doing as we start amping up for these promotional things that we're, promotional. I don't know even know what you call it at this point. I've
when
just
the book comes out, you promote, and that's what we're talking
yes,
about.
you promote in every way imaginable, and I'm fried out from promotion. But at the same time, I want people to see that these places that I write about, like they do have really amazing history and they're really haunted, and I have proof. So yes, check it out, and I hope that this will inspire a lot of people to go to these hotels and try to have some encounters. And in the same token, it will support some of these hotels and give them some much needed income because we're living in a crazy economic climate right now.
We certainly are. But hey, speaking of promotion, if you guys throw together a little audio commercial, we'll put it on the show when the book's coming out. We'd love to help.
Oh, well, thank you so much. My dad's friend, he always makes me like a book trailer, and I think actually doing some kind of an audio trailer would be a really wise idea. And kind of, I could put it on Instagram with a picture or something.
Exactly. Promote, promote, promote. That's what we're about here.
Exactly.
But hey, thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it. And guys, if you want to check out any of these books, once again, that is Haunted Bay City, and that came out in 2020, Haunted Detroit, which came out in 2022, and Haunted Bars and Pubs of Michigan, which came out 2023. But then the big one coming out this year, Haunted French Quarter Hotels. So strap in if you want some ghost fun. And thank you. I couldn't be more excited. This was a wonderful interview. Nicole, is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience before we let you go?
Yes, I do so many events throughout the year. So if you're interested in attending an event, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's at author Nicole Beauchamp. So it's my name is spelled Nicole and then Beauchamp. Just put author in front of it and you'll find me. But I do a lot of free events throughout the year all across the state, and I'm going to be doing some down south as well when the new book comes out. And in addition to that, I do a lot of ticketed events as well. So a lot of those are pretty much getting to explore haunted buildings, like doing ghost hunts or ghost tours in some of the buildings I write about. So definitely follow me and check out the events tab because I have a whole host of events coming up just in this year alone.
That's fantastic. Well, Nicole Beauchamp, thank you so much. And from everyone here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya.
Thank you.
Well, she was cool.
Yeah, man. Awesome to talk to. She had a lot of really fun stories.
Yeah, I didn't really know that Detroit had so much spooky stuff to it, but I swear, if I were to do something like that, I would probably do like Haunted Lake Michigan because you've got like the Michigan Bermuda Triangle,
Yeah.
shipwrecks. You've got so
Ooh.
many ghost stories, countless.
That's true. That's a really good one, man. But you know what? Actually, our disclosure discussion this week actually has a lot to do with Lake Michigan and, well, just the west side of Michigan altogether. So, really good segue without even trying, dude.
Hey, what can I say? What can I say?
Guys, strap in for this week's
Disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
Remembering West Michigan's most famous UFO sighting 30 years later. This comes to us from VVMT.com. Early West Michigan, March 8th, 1994. A night seared into the memory of hundreds across West Michigan. Strange lights were reported in the sky near Holland and several other locations, mostly across portions of Ottawa, Muskegon, and Allegan counties. In the days and weeks that followed, at least 300 witnesses came forward with varying accounts. The event quickly got media attention in the days that followed, in part because of recorded 911 calls to Ottawa County Dispatch acquired by an investigative reporter. Now, over 30 years later, the event continues to spark interest worldwide. Netflix's popular reboot of Unsolved Mysteries covered the sightings in its third season. Whatever it was remains a mystery, but those who saw it say it's something they'll never forget.
I mean, that's fair. You see anything that's extraordinary, I'd imagine it leaves quite a mark on your brain.
Well, right. And, here we are. Like I said, I'm just dying to see something like this. And yeah, I would never forget it. Are you kidding? Yeah, I'd tell you every single day. That'd be my old man story. Like, did I ever tell you about the time that I saw strange lights in the skies, those UFOs?
It kind of feels like we're going to inevitably end up having to go be some kind of ghost hunter or go investigate these UFOs. It just seems like that's where our lives are headed, man. Maybe season 2 of this series will go do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Earthling Entertainment 2.0.
No, Earthling Entertainment Reborn.
So, Lee Lamberts was a sports writer and editor for the Holland Sentinel in 1994. The last to leave a basketball game, Lamberts witnessed what he described as a string of lights over Holland High School. His encounter with strange lights began as an audible humming, which is new, right? Because usually the thing with UFO stories we hear is they're silent, no noises when they're taking off, stuff like that. So that's interesting. This is what he said. I equated it to if you're out by the airport and you're in the path of a plane coming in. This low hum as the plane is descending and decelerating, Lambert said. His attention directed to the sky, Lamberts looked up to see what he described as a long row of red and white lights. I saw almost like Christmas lights, and I go, that's not supposed to be up there.
That ain't normal.
Huh. Lambert's
I'll be damned.
Right. Lambert's estimated the lights were about 100 feet up, moving fairly slowly before disappearing over the gymnasium. He returned to the newsroom that night and shared what he had seen, but no one believed him. As news coverage began to ramp up in the following days, Lamberts decided to reach out to Mike Walsh, an investigative reporter with the Muskegon Chronicle, who was one of the first to break the story. When his accounts were eventually published in a competitor's paper, Lambert's bosses weren't too thrilled. I got called to my office. I almost got fired, Lambert said.
I don't think he should have even gotten in trouble because he's like, I told you guys first.
Right.
You didn't believe me. And clearly he must have told them with passion because he obviously believed it enough that he thought about it and went and told someone else. So when you get confronted by someone who's like, no, this happened. I mean, maybe we got to give it a second look instead of being like crazy.
And that's why disclosure is so important. That way we can encourage more people to come out who see these kind of things. To this day, Lambert said he still thinks about the 1994 event all the time when he goes out after dark. I mean, yeah, you'd always be looking up.
I mean, I would.
Right? I mean, I do now, and I haven't even seen anything. About 20 miles north, Cindy Pravda saw something she can't explain out her kitchen window. I was on the phone, a corded phone, and I'm a pacer, Pravda recounted in a 2019 interview. I looked out the window, and the bright lights surprised me. Pravda, one of the witnesses to be interviewed for Netflix's Unsolved Mysteries, described the lights had a slightly different appearance compared to the accounts of Lambert's. The more I looked at it, I'm seeing 4 lights, and they're like the size of the full moon, Pravda said.
I mean,
It-
that's huge.
It's enormous. It wasn't helicopters. It was nothing else that I could explain. Pravda said the circular and bright white lights had well defined edges and aligned just above her tree line. She said one vanished after about 15 minutes, with the remaining 3 lingering for another 15 minutes before disappearing.
I'm just thinking about that size because you see all these videos of the lights in the sky and they're always far away and they're always really small. And it's like, military flares or planes, all that stuff can be, a possibility. They could be misidentified. But if something's as big as a full moon, that's big. So that's either close. I mean, I feel like that's less easily misidentified.
I agree with that. And it makes you wonder, right? Like maybe it just has to do with what angle you're looking at the craft.
True. What if it's like a coin and if from certain angles you can't see it at all? I
Exactly.
sometimes wonder when people see these lights blinking or just disappearing and reappearing, if that's not the case. If they are, well, if not a saucer, but really flat and kind of reflecting the light in that way. So when they turn,
Like
it
some
seem like they disappear.
Right, like some kind of cloaking device or something that kind of plays on our eyes, like how we actually get to see it.
An optical illusion, my friend.
Indeed. Reports similar to Pravda flooded local newsrooms and dispatch centers that night, like the one in Ottawa County. Mike Walsh was an investigative reporter for the Muskegon Chronicle in 1994. Most his time was spent covering court cases in Muskegon County, so I'm sure this was a little bit more exciting.
I mean, yeah, right?
when
I'm done with all these slip and falls. Now I'm dealing with E ET.
When Walsh's manager told him they'd received calls of UFOs the night before and that he wanted him to look into it, at first he wasn't too excited. I just kind of rolled my eyes and said, "Why don't you go pick on someone else?" Walsh said. Walsh called around to some of the nearby dispatch centers to see if they'd received any reports. He eventually talked to the director at the Ottawa County Dispatch Center, who said they'd received several calls which he believed to be sincere. Walsh then drove to Ottawa County to see what he could uncover. Through a Freedom of Information Act request, he acquired the Ottawa County 911 recordings from the night before. "I got in my car, popped it in the tape player, and it knocked my socks off," Walsh said. "I knew this was major stuff because of the way the people, the callers, you could tell it in their voice. They had seen something." One of the first callers, Holly Graves was her name, Walsh said. "You hear the kids in the background saying, 'Look at this, look at that.'" Several people from the Holland area were heard on the original recordings attempting to describe the strange phenomenon they're seeing. "It's like 4 or 5 lights and they're all flashing right in a row," another caller states. "It was kind of like a V, and there were 4 lights and they were blinking back and forth." A Holland police officer was dispatched to the Graves' home along Country Club Road on the east side of Holland. Officer Jeff Belthouse also witnessed the strange lights alongside the Graves family. As the dispatcher triangulated the various reports coming in, he decided to call the National Weather Service field office at the Muskegon County Airport to see if there was anything on radar.
I mean, clearly, everyone's saying it. It's enough to convince a skeptic. I mean, that's big.
Well, yeah, and that's what's important is that's why I'm saying you don't be afraid to speak out if you see something, guys. On the night of March 8th, 1994, Jack Beauchamp was a meteorologist at the now shuttered National Weather Service field station at Muskegon County Airport. Beauchamp was in charge of answering the phone, taking weather observations, and operating the weather radar. Beauchamp still remembers the calm and cold conditions on the night of the sightings. When the phone rang, he thought it would just be a quick confirmation of the clear skies and good visibility at the station.
Boy, was he wrong.
The Ottawa County dispatcher on the other line asked Beauchamp to check radar to see if there was anything strange showing up over southern Ottawa County.
You wouldn't have to you just tell me what you see.
Why don't you just give those controls a little wiggle? Let's see
Yeah.
what happens. putting the WSR-74C weather radar into
Chopper 5.
Chopper 5 into manual mode. Beauchamp began scanning the area of interest to his southeast. A few seconds later, Beauchamp started to see strange objects lighting up his screen and relays his observations to the dispatcher.
Huh. That ain't supposed to be there.
I knew I was looking at something highly unusual, Beauchamp said. Not just an airplane, either aircraft in formation or the biggest airplane I've ever seen on radar. The objects would change altitude and position quite rapidly, making them difficult to track, Beauchamp said. Eventually, they moved from southwest Michigan out over Lake Michigan in a somewhat geometric pattern before eventually disappearing from radar.
Maybe into the Michigan Triangle.
You may be right. You know,
I mean,
or maybe
underwater base.
I was going to say, or maybe another underwater base. Who knows?
I read something today about a bunch of there are giant sea creatures under Lake Michigan. Like science has proven. I have to look into this article because I don't want to report about something that I don't know because it sounds like it could be bullcrap, obviously. But yeah, today when I was looking up Michigan stuff, there was this whole thing where it's like there are confirmed like 14 giant sea something under the water.
I mean,
It's very deep.
it's very deep and it's very old. So who knows?
Alien whales.
Could have gotten trapped,
Ooh.
you know?
Oh yeah, no, you're talking about actual
Big like continental drift shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So, as an interesting note, the objects on radar appear to make their way to the only area of Lake Michigan with mostly open water. That winter was remarkably cold across the Great Lakes, and a good portion of the lake had iced over, adding to our suspicion that they were going underwater.
That's right.
And
I think so.
and the fact that they probably were like, "Oh crap, they saw us." Like,
Damn it, Mark! You didn't hit the cloaking device. Go, go, go!
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's my first time at the helm.
It's weird that they keep giving Mark's jobs. I
You
know
know.
he's the president's son, but I can't understand it.
But seriously, I've never even heard of this story, which is wild to me. When I was just doing some research, I'm like, oh, let's like see like some really cool stories about Michigan UFOs, and I see this, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what? 300 witnesses. That is absolutely wild. So this has just become pretty much one of my favorite UFO stories. And you know what? Actually, now that I just found this one, I'm going to have to do some more research. I guarantee there's got to be way more cool UFO stories when it comes to the Great Lakes.
Yeah, there are. It was just Michigan in general. I mean, as we've talked about before, that swamp gas story. I was a
Yep.
swamp in Michigan, and
Yep.
that's all the way from Project Blue Book. But as far as Lake Michigan is concerned, I know there are missing people. Like the boat went out,
Mhm.
and then suddenly, I think there was the captain who disappeared, or like whole crews. There's ghost ships. There's a lot out there, man. Sometimes in life, it's really just a weird world.
It is. It's a weird world out there, Joe.
In fact, sometimes in this real world, we just need to hear about the weird. In this segment, Real World Weird. No, was that too much?
No, that was great.
I was trying to make it work.
You did.
Screw it, guys. This is this week's Real World Weird.
It is.
We tried.
We did.
Segway.
Real World Weird.
Michigan cops stop Bigfoot walking down the road. This comes to us from coast to coast am.com.
That's an actual headline.
That is the headline. A pair of Michigan state troopers made a rather unusual stop last September when they pulled over to speak with a Sasquatch that they saw walking down the side of the road. According to a local media report, the odd encounter occurred Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, in the city of Cadillac. Recounting the proverbial Bigfoot bust, Public Information Officer Lieutenant Derek Carroll explained that the troopers noticed the costumed individual. It wasn't really Bigfoot.
Yeah, was that the spoiler here for you, bud?
While out on patrol and took quick action because they knew this wasn't a cutout. It's like, well, yeah.
You know, someone calls in and they're like, "We see Bigfoot," and they're laughing at dispatch. Yeah, I bet. Is it on a lawn? It's like, no, it's not a cutout.
Yeah.
Damn guy.
Nothing gets past you, Derek.
Well done.
Curious as to what the creature was doing, the cops stopped the faux Sasquatch and quickly determined that he was simply roaming around rather than causing any mischief.
Yeah, but see, he was just walking down the street. If it was me, Ryan, I would just be wandering around the woods. I guess there's a little bit of a worry that you're going to get shot, but that's why
Yeah.
you don't go during like hunting season, or you find the right time of year, but you just want to freak people out and be Bigfoot in the woods.
It's goddamn Bigfoot. It's coming right for us. The officers subsequently snapped a photo with the beast and shared it on social media, marveling with amusement that it turns out Bigfoot is smaller than our troopers. And he is. We got a photo right here. Not a very tall Bigfoot, more of a small foot.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, it's a Bigfoot costume. I'm not judging too hard, but like the mask is kind of awful.
Yeah.
It's kind of awful.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have done better. I want the beef jerky Bigfoot kind of guy.
That's right.
The Jack Link's beef.
Yeah,
Bigfoot,
I love those commercials. But I mean, can you imagine if a real Bigfoot ran into this guy? He'd be like, "You think you think this is funny? Huh?
Yeah, that'd be rough. Like, oh, little human walking in my woods.
Right. It's kind of like I always thought about like
wearing fur face.
Like you get to know Bigfoot, right? Let's say Bigfoot's finally coming, and then you go over to Bigfoot's apartment, and he's got like human footprints, like in castings on the wall, and he just goes,
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah, like why you guys do it?
Yeah. How do you like it?
Expressing a similar sense of humor about the strange Sasquatch stop. Carol mused that I can say I've been in the state police for almost 30 years, and this is the first known sighting and encounter troopers have had with Bigfoot.
Not in an awesome town, I see.
I guess I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're boring, I wish you could just see a Bigfoot every day.
You know what? Living in LA was amazing because you did get to see just the most random thing. Because if someone wasn't filming something, it was somebody who just happened to live homeless and crazy. There was a, this is a true story. There was a guy who had a towel that he tied around his neck, and he'd hide in a bush around the corner. And when I would come up to 7-Eleven or Roro's Chicken right there, I'm not going to give you the cross streets, but the point is, he would jump out of the bush and he'd be like, I'm Crack Man. And then he would run away. And he never caused any problems. He just liked to jump out and scare people.
And honestly, I'm just a big fan of Crack Man.
I just think it's funny because you see a guy with a towel tied around his neck and you're like, oh, he might be a crackhead. And then he jumps out and screams, I'm Crack Man. And you're like,
that answers that.
You've owned it, sir.
He has.
You have delivered what you promised, and I appreciate your showmanship.
All right, I'm ready for the comic book series. Here we go. Crack Man.
So I know that's kind of weird. And here's another weird thing. Our next real world weird.
A Ouija board lesson spells trouble for Michigan elementary school teacher. A substitute teacher at a Michigan elementary school has been fired after she gave a lesson on the Ouija board to her class of second graders. The eyebrow-raising incident reportedly occurred last November at Freeman Elementary in the city of Flint. For reasons unexplained, the unnamed teacher showed the youngsters a video on the infamous divination device and promised to bring one of the talking boards to class the following day.
I wonder what they were teaching. Because, I mean, it's like, were you just teaching about Ouija boards, or were you trying to be a teacher and segueing into something else when it was just like superstition or the history of Milton Bradley? I don't know. Like, what were you doing? Or were you just like, hey, guys, want to see a ghost?
Well, yeah. And it's like, maybe this is a School of Rock moment here, or maybe it was an imposter. It was not really the sub.
Oh, yeah. That's creepy. Although Jack Black is humorous, I don't want Jack Black just tricking his way into teaching my children.
I mean, speak for yourself.
All right, kids. Here's a Ouija board.
As one might imagine.
The sequel to School of Rock is messed up.
Yeah, we never saw it coming. The misguided discussion of the proverbial dark arts did not sit well with parents when they learned about the lesson.
Yeah, that tracks.
Billy DeVille Mitchell, the mother of one of the students, told a local TV station that the video was particularly traumatizing for her daughter. She has not been able to sleep at night, the mom lamented. It is the same for me, knowing that she is still having reactions to whatever she learned in the classroom. After Mitchell and other parents took their concerns to the school district, administrators issued a swift response wherein they apologized for the unfortunate incident that, they stressed, was not a part of the official curriculum. Well, that's a relief.
Yeah. Well, I don't really mind personally. I mean, I was joking, but seriously, as long as it's not like our only studies being witchcraft, I don't mind if there's a witchcraft class. It would be an elective. I mean, maybe not for a second grader, but I'm just saying.
I was going to say perhaps a bit older, maybe.
Can you imagine a high school elective where it's like Witchcraft 101?
Oh my God. I would,
We're the coolest, most liberal school ever.
I would, and I would have been in there. I'd have been front row.
And we'd get down and we'd sit there and we'd be like, all right, let's ready. We'll do some magic. And then we'll get somebody who walks out and they're like, so at the beginning, the god and goddess were there. And we're going to be like, oh no, it's theology.
It's like, and now I'm sleeping.
Ah, damn it. You have to get to Magic 104 before you actually use your wand, man.
Yeah, Wingardium Leviosa. As for the teacher...
I made that stretch too far.
Yeah, it's okay. As for the teacher at the center of the strange scandal, she was subsequently dismissed by the company responsible for providing substitute staffing to the school district. Oddly enough, the incident in Flint is not the first time that an Ouija board has spelled trouble at an elementary school. In March of 2017, a Milwaukee teacher was placed on administrative leave after she used the divination device with her class of kindergarteners.
In other words, folks, we're pretty cool in the Midwest.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And, we got a third one, too. We're going to have a whole bunch of weird this episode.
And this one is especially weird.
All right, guys. So what we're going to do first here is we're going to play you the actual audio from the dispatcher. So check this out, and then we're going to jump into the story.
Central 5147. Can you copy call? 5147. Woodview Village Apartments. Going to make contact with April. Wishes to report an animal of action believed to possibly be a chupacabra. 5147.
Can you go again? What's the animal?
A chupacabra, sir. She described it.
Interrupt.
2147.
There's been a high amount of sightings for those in that area lately, by the way.
Michigan woman calls 911 with report of a chupacabra sighting. Police in Michigan responded to a rather unusual call this week after a concerned resident reported seeing a chupacabra. According to a local media report, the strange incident occurred when a woman in the community of Jerome Township phoned 911 claiming that the infamous cryptid was lurking outside of her home and, as if that weren't odd enough, the creature was accompanied by a capybara.
That is the giant, like, hamster-looking thing, right?
Yeah. Capybara, capybara.
Isn't that an Australian rodent or marsupial?
It is, I believe. Yeah, it's related to the guinea pig, and yeah, it's an Australian like giant rodent, and they're kind of cute.
It's kind of weirder that there's a capybara with the chupacabra in Michigan than just a chupacabra, right?
I mean, it makes sense that they'd get along.
That's a Milo and Otis movie I want to watch. A
boy.
buddy animal comedy with chupacabra. And all right, I'm
gonna take a walk outside today, see what we can find today. Sorry, that's the song from Milo and Otis.
You knew more about Milo and Otis than I give you credit for, sir.
Haha, that's right. Don't single me out, people. Don't count me out.
You know what? When we do one of these quiz games, eventually I'm going to do a quiz game all about Milo and Otis.
I don't know if we want to do that, Joe.
Just to spite you.
I don't know if we want to do that, Joe.
I think our listeners really want to know about that weird movie from the early 80s.
I'll fill you in later on why Milo and Otis is kind of messed up.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Were they like actually, did they go through like 4 dogs and cats while making it?
Way more.
Oh, my God.
I'm not kidding.
That is rough.
It's horrible.
Oh, my God.
Like the scene with the cat falling off the waterfall.
They were just
That's a cat falling off a waterfall.
They were just dropping
They were just
cats.
like, okay, ready, action.
Oh, no.
I'm not kidding. And it gets worse. Honestly, it gets Real. So, guys, if you want to go down a real dark rabbit hole, go ahead and look into Milo and Otis.
You are supporting this Milo and Otis segment, not dissuading it.
Oh no, we're gonna go. That's dark sided.
We're
Warning
going-
everybody, that's dark side.
Guys, we're going full Otis.
So, going back to the chupacabra, despite the wholesale weirdness of the call, or perhaps because of it, police were dispatched to investigate the report of a blood-sucking chupacabra and its docile rodent companion roaming around the area.
Da 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 da.
An amusing recording of the exchange between the 911 operator and the officer who received the assignment captures the absurdity of the situation, as you guys just listened to. After hearing that a woman named April wishes to report an animal out back she believes could possibly be a chupacabra,
Just saying.
the cop does something of a double take and asks the dispatcher, "What's the animal?" Upon receiving confirmation that indeed the resident had reported seeing the cryptid, the officer indicates that he is heading over to the location. As one might imagine, there was neither a chupacabra nor a capybara to be found when the police arrived on the scene.
There was, however, a pigeon and a mongoose.
There was, and they were good little animals. Sheriff Myron Green later explained that responding officers verified there was no evidence of any strange animals. And when the woman was asked why she might have thought that she had seen the creatures, she said she was coming off using some intoxicated substances. Well,
It's just like, look, I'm not gonna lie. Took some acid, a little drunk, kind of some opium as well.
yeah, just be careful to our listeners when you're taking hallucinogens and listening to the podcasts. Maybe don't look into your backyard.
But here's the thing: what if you do see some shit when you're drunk or on drugs? It sucks because it would immediately. Not that you should be doing that. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Okay, taking notes.
You're out. You're out in the woods, and it's like, oh shit, that's Bigfoot. And then you look down, and you happen to be holding a crack pipe. It's just a little hard for anyone ever to believe you.
And I love the way you told that, because I'm walking away from that thinking that the Bigfoot was normal.
Okay, fine. Maybe that was a little too harsh. Let's say something simple. You're out on a fishing trip and you're drinking some beers and you're
Okay.
having some fish. Okay,
Been there. Okay.
we'll go back. We'll be a little bit more tame, and then you happen to see Nessie or Ogopogo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just make sure you have 350.
No, bad reference.
It's a great it's the best reference. Despite that revelation, the woman did not get into any trouble for making the misguided call to 911, as Green mused that she honestly somehow believed those animals may have been there.
That's what I'm saying. She's like, look, I'm drunk, but I know I saw a capybara. I know what a capybara is. I have watched the Australian Zoo show.
Yeah.
Okay. Bindi Irwin explained to me very thoroughly what these rodents look like, and I saw one. The chupacabra could have been a deer.
Yeah, but I honestly, on behalf of the podcast, want to salute Sheriff Green for actually giving her like a little slack on that one, because
By
you know what I
not
mean. Like,
Didn't arrest her.
yeah, like didn't like try to give her like like false claims or something like that, because he actually was like, she believed it, dude. Like, I gotta hand it to him. So good for her. And you know what? For all we know, maybe Chupacabra and the capybara just they heard the sirens and they're like, oh, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're not being followed.
This is Ryan Lang of Earthling Entertainment, live on the scene in Monroe, Michigan, with a special report. Just last Sunday, May 18th, 2025, a father and son had a close encounter with a Bigfoot that the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, has deemed credible. The witness states, I was bow fishing with my son around 11:30 a.m. We walked down Plum Creek, past 4 railroad bridges, and headed into the marsh. 100 yards into the marsh, the dog scared up something that was bedded there. Trees were shaking. We thought it was a group of deer. We continued on 200 more yards to the creek basin in the marsh. All of a sudden, I heard a rustling in a tree to the left and a huge thud hitting the ground from the tree. A big, heavy animal hit the ground and crouched and started moving towards me through the brush. My dog fired off from the right of me toward the creature. The dog almost got to it, but the creature shot off extremely fast through the trees and brush. The dog chased the creature up the slope and over the train tracks. I then called for my dog to come back. My son said, "Holy shit, what was that? It was as big as a bear, but it looked like a gorilla." We walked back, but we heard something crunching on the ground behind us. We left. Here is the follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Matthew Moneymaker. I spoke with Edward and his 12-year-old son by phone separately. Both are credible and freshly descriptive about what happened to them that morning. I asked many questions about what they saw and what the animal did. I asked enough to discern that it was not a bear. It was a large, dark-furred primate that ran up a slope on 2 legs, looking like a gorilla from behind. Yes, that would be a Bigfoot. The animal was roughly 10 feet up the tree when it jumped down. At no time was it facing the 2. The point at which they got the clearest look at it was when it was ascending the embankment. They could see the hairy back and big butt cheeks pretty clearly for a few seconds. The animal was not on all 4s. It raced up the slope on 2 legs but hunched forward. In its hunched posture, it was nearly 6 feet tall. The son said it would have been much taller if not hunched over. The whole encounter lasted less than 10 seconds from beginning to end. It happened totally by surprise. No one would have gotten a photo of it in that first shock interval. This area around the marsh for Tamarack Creek is full of deer. No hunting is allowed there. Consequently, there are herds of deer in the marsh and woods year-round. There are lots of cattails around this marsh as well. Therefore, 2 things Bigfoots consume, especially in winter: cattails and deer. Bigfoots will walk along railroad beds for long distances. The railroad beds will sometimes bring them into pockets of woods very close to towns, as is this case. The closer a nature pocket is to a town, the greater likelihood that hunting is forbidden there. The area becomes a safe haven for deer herds, and Bigfoot look for deer, so they will sometimes end up in pockets of woods near towns like Monroe when there is enough plants and animals to sustain them. This has been an Earthling Entertainment special report. I'm Ryan Lang, signing out.
Coming June 7th, 2025, it's the 3rd annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference held at Our House. With guest speakers Ronnie LeBlanc, Expedition Bigfoot, paranormal researcher Lyle Blackburn, ghost hunter Ron Iacovetti, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and from Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler. That's June 7th, 2025. Our House, located at 420 Adelphia Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tickets are $45, available at Eventbrite. We will see you there.
Calling all comic fans, it's time to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics, where the freshest new issues, graphic novels, and manga hit the shelves every week. Whether you're looking for the hottest new series or the latest small press sensation, we've got it all. Every genre for every age, Green Brain Comics is your one-stop shop for all things graphic storytelling. Got questions? Our friendly staff knows their stuff. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the world of comics, we've got recommendations that'll keep you coming back for more. And don't forget to check out our special events. Green Brain Comics is not just a store, it's a community. Located in East Downtown Dearborn, we are at Green Brain Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shop online at greenbraincomics.com, and remember to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics.
It's true, you made it through to the second half of the show.
Welcome to the entertainment section of the show, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, right. We're going to start off with some music mumbles, but I wanted to say that Detroit is known for a lot of music. Eminem, actually from Detroit. ICP, they're kind of outside Detroit.
They were in the beginning.
Yeah. Kid Rock, kind of outside Detroit. But Detroit, like, as itself, like what is known for Detroit music is, of course, Motown Records.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about it on this week's
Music Mumbles.
A brief history of Motown.
Very brief.
Yeah, because I had to be. I could go on all day. Motown Records, with its iconic Hitsville, USA sign has long stood as the symbol of a musical revolution that began in Detroit in 1959. Founded by Berry Gordy, a former boxer and automobile worker turned songwriter, Motown quickly became a powerhouse in the American music industry. Motown began with an $800 loan, around $8,600 in today's money, from Gordy's family. The first act signed was the Matadors, who quickly became known as the Miracles, led by Smokey Robinson. The label's first success was Money, That's What I Want by Barrett Strong. It was not just a record label, but an inclusive cultural phenomenon, intertwining with the civil rights movement and becoming a beacon of black pride and artistry. The label's impact has been profound. It produced chart-topping artists like Martha and the Vandellas, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Diana Ross, and the Supremes, Gladys Knight and the Pips, the Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder, and Marvin Gaye. These artists contributed to the distinct Motown sound, which is characterized by great melodies, tambourines, hand clapping, blaring horns, vibrant bass lines, and memorable drum parts. Gordy's innovative approach, likened to a car assembly line, was to create a good product quickly, making stars out of unknowns and refining their sound for mass appeal.
And boy, how did they?
I mean, yeah. And so, yeah, you got Motown. And it was interesting as I was researching this yesterday. Did you know that, like, we're also like a beacon of techno in
Really?
like Detroit? I didn't even know that. Yeah, it was like a huge thing for techno, I guess, started in Detroit.
I guess it makes sense because we have Tech Fest at Hart Plaza.
Yep. I'll
We-
bet that's it.
I remember the first year I went to Tech Fest, it was free. And then, like, the very next year, they started charging. And then everybody was pissed because apparently it was free for years. So
Yeah.
I just remember being there. I'm like, yay, I'm excited to do this. And everybody's like, it's bullcrap. We got to pay.
Yeah.
And then I think now it's like an arm, foot, and a leg.
Yeah, I've been to Tech Fest a couple times, had to pay both times. So yeah, I wasn't a part of it when it was free, but it was fun from what I remember.
I mean, from what you remember.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, we were young, and we definitely did a brief stint in the rave scene there.
Yeah, we
teenagers do what they do.
That's right. We're not some old fuddy-duddies.
But you know what I thought was pretty funny is I remember it was always like the weekend before they did the hoedown.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I've never been to the hoedown. I'm not a huge fan of country music. Not trying to talk crap, just not my type.
No, not my thing either, but I'll bet it's fun.
Well, you know what's funny is our buddy Jeff always went, and he always told me that he went because apparently the most beautiful women are at the hoedown.
I mean, country is still like what? It's arguably one of the most popular genres still in the United States. So I mean, it's very, very popular.
Huh.
So I mean, you're
gonna get it. There's a lot of good stuff in the music scene when it comes to Detroit, guys, and that's why we thought we would mention a little bit about Motown, simply
That's right.
because we didn't think we could talk about Michigan music without throwing their name out there.
I mean,
obviously.
heck yeah, dude. Heck, like all those names, friggin' legends, like now and forever.
Well, music's not the only thing that happens in Detroit. You know what else does?
What?
Movies.
Ooh.
And it's not just Detroit, it's all across Michigan. There have been horror films that have taken place here. There's been horror films that have been shot here. There is characters from horror films that are from here.
That is true.
That
That's
is
cool.
true.
Are you about to do what I think you're about to do?
That's right, Ryan. I'm going to test your might with this pop culture quiz.
Test your might.
Are you ready for this?
Get over here.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Excellent. So today I thought we would do 5 questions for 2 reasons, really. Is we talked about how you keep seemingly getting almost half right. So I figure an odd number would be a good way to determine whether or not you succeed or fail. You know what I mean?
You sly dog.
I
you.
know. And then the second reason is since we have an interview on this episode and we have a Tattered Tales, I figure, for time, we'll just cut it in half. But that doesn't mean these questions are any easier than normal.
Good.
Ryan, are you ready for our Michigan pop culture horror movie? There's not an easy, quick way to say that. Quiz!
I am mitten ready.
Ooh, number 1. In the horror film It Follows, which Michigan-based university does the main character Jamie attend? Is it A, University of Michigan, B, Michigan State University, C, Oakland University, or D, Western Michigan University?
It's got to be one of the first two. That's just my guess because it's like those are the ones that kind of everybody knows. So I'm going to just go ahead and throw it out there with Michigan State.
No, I'm sorry. It is
Dang.
actually C, Oakland University.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. Do you remember It Follows?
Gosh, you know what? I don't.
Okay, so It Follows is this weird movie, and it was like a sexually transmitted demon, essentially. And the only way to pass the demon on is to have sex with someone, and then that demon is now following them. And when it says It Follows, it could be anything. It could be your grandma or an old friend or a little girl or
Man,
whatever.
what's Grandma been up to?
But the point is, you're just looking down the street and they're just moving towards you at a leisurely pace, but they never stop. And it's like, what happens when they get you, you know?
I've
And it
actually
just-
seen clips of this.
Yeah. You know, there's going to be a sequel, too, coming out called They Follow.
Oh, very creative.
Yeah, well, you know, to be fair, sometimes titles don't need to be creative. They just need to seem like they're the same franchise.
I wanted to just take a hard left. It stopped.
No, that's a third one, man. That's how you make a trilogy. All right. Are you ready for question number 2?
You know it. You know it.
In the 1994 Detroit-based gothic thriller, The Crow, the 4 gangsters who killed Eric Draven and Shelley are named Top Dollar, T-Bird, Tintin, and A, Fun Boy, B, Rocky, C, Freckles, or D, Sideshow.
I'm going to go D, Sideshow.
No, I'm sorry, that is incorrect. It is actually A, Fun Boy.
I literally, once again, I'm like, well, Joe made that up.
Yeah, no. The one I made up was Sideshow and Freckles.
Gosh darn. I knew Freckles too. I knew that you made that up.
Okay, well, you know what? I was almost going to put Scruffy, the janitor.
Scruffy believes in this podcast.
That's right. No, Fun Boy, kind of a sad note. The actor who played Fun Boy is the gentleman who pulled the trigger on the gun that killed Brendan Lee, and he said he never recovered from it. Like, he still has nightmares.
Oh my God.
I know. How rough is that?
Oh my gosh.
Great movie, though.
He's going to have to hit up Alec Baldwin. They can hang out.
Oh, dude, that is a harsh joke.
Sorry.
Oh, number 3. Ryan, who directed the 2016 psychological thriller set in Detroit, Don't Breathe? Is it A, Mike Young, B, Jerry Zucker, C, Alex Perez, or D, Fade Alvarez?
I'm going to say Alex Perez.
That is incorrect.
Gosh darn.
No. Alex Perez did Gods of Egypt, Dark City.
Okay.
And he did The Crow, the 1994.
Oh, that's
Crow
so
movie. Yeah.
That's so funny.
So, Ryan, so far you're doing great. You've gotten
3 wrong,
3 wrong out of 3 questions.
but I can still get 2 more.
That is true. Did you see the film Don't Breathe?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Was that the one?
So the military guy, Stephen Lang from Avatar, he was blind and he was like in the house,
Yes.
and people break into his house, and then the hunted becomes the hunter because he's a psychopath.
Well, and to me, the scariest part of that is where did my man get just a giant vat of that stuff? Like, he has been busy.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Question number 4. What Michigan City does the 2017 horror film Pitchfork take place? Is it A, Romulus, B, Claire, C, Milford, or D, Petoskey?
I'm gonna go with, what was the second one?
Claire.
I think Claire.
Wow, Ryan. So, you actually got one right.
Yes!
It is
Yes!
Claire, Michigan. That is a crazy film. I only saw it once, and quite frankly, I saw it while doing dishes, so I couldn't tell you too much. It was one of those background movies, and from all the screaming, I think it was a slasher.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 right out of 4,
That's right.
and we are about to do our final question. So, Ryan, what Friday the 13th franchise alum stars in the Michigan set horror film Exit 33? Is it A, Kane Hodder, B, Todd White, C, CJ Graham, or D, Derek Mears? Mears? M-E-A-R-S. Mears.
I'll go with Derek.
That is incorrect. No, it was the obvious one, Ryan. It was A, Kane Hodder.
Oh, well.
Yes. But
I didn't want you to think your quiz was too easy. That's why.
Oh, well, you know what? You've never made me feel that way, Ryan. Funny thing, all of those gentlemen, every actor that I named, were at one point played Jason Voorhees.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I wanted to kind of, if you knew right off the bat, because I said Friday the 13th alum, I'm like, well, if they're all Jason, maybe it'll confuse him. And,
yeah. And it did.
Yeah,
well done.
Mission accomplished.
Yep. I'm pretty easily confused.
So, with a score of 1 out of 5, Ryan, born and raised in Michigan, knows nothing about Michigan. And now that we've completed our quiz, we have reached the final segment of the show, a Tattered Tales audio drama short.
I'm tickled for Tattered Tales.
Ooh. So, like everything on this episode, it starts in Michigan, and that is our connective tissue. But this Tattered Tales is called Four Levers, and it was written by yours truly. I also narrated, and the reason why is because when I originally wrote this script, it was supposed to be shot on film. We were actually gonna build sets and kind of do it. The money fell through last minute, which happens sometimes in the film industry. But because I wanted to still get it done, I was like, okay, how do we do this? Then the pandemic hits, and we're like, well, audio drama. And that is how Tattered Tales is actually born. This was the first Tattered Tales. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Four Levers is a fun little alien tale. It is narrated by me. It has a couple other voices. There's Lauren Barnice as Omega. There is Jennifer Belchard as Yellowface, Heston Moser as Purpleface, Talia Corinne as Dawn Moser, Annabelle King as Blueface, and Brennan Bagnall as Redface. And all that will make sense, but it's a fun, spooky sci-fi tale, and I think your guys will enjoy it. Are you ready, bud?
Let's do it.
All right, enjoy Four Levers. Hello, I'm Joe Wakefield, and tonight's Tattered Tale is the story of Dawn Moser and her impossible choice. What would you do to choose between sacrificing everything you know and saving the rest of humanity? Which lever would you pull? Enjoy. Our story begins on a night like any other, in the small town of Dearborn, Michigan. We currently find ourselves in the bedroom of Dawn Moser, a pretty young woman in her early 20s. She's kind, smart, and average in all respects. There isn't anything particularly special about her. As Dawn slept in her bed, a strange object floats in the night sky above, slowly moving closer to her open window. Suddenly, an otherworldly blue light appears through her bedroom window. Her eyes shoot open as she wakes, terrified. She tries to move and finds that she can't. Dawn desperately wants to scream, but she can't open her mouth. She's completely frozen. Slowly, her body begins to float upward. That's when the overwhelming fear finally causes her to pass out. Dawn wakes up a few hours later in a strange, unearthly room. Immediately shocked, she finds herself lying on a hard table-like bed similar to a hospital stretcher. Dawn sits up to get a better look around. The room is filled with extraterrestrial technology spread across the whole area. The walls are covered in a spider web of lights, wires, and pipes. The tangled mess consists of 4 colors: blue, yellow, red, and purple. Sticking out of the ground near the far wall, Dawn can see 4 waist-high levers, each identical to the other. Directly behind each lever, there is a large box-like device. Each device has a colored screen, which is 2 feet by 2 feet. The colored web of pipes and wires filling the unearthly room eventually sort themselves out and into their corresponding box devices. After her initial shock, the next thing Dawn notices is that all of the alien technology is aged with rust and patina. A layer of dust lies over all of it. Third is that the entire place is covered with vegetation. Finally, looks down and sees the most terrifying thing yet. A thick mist covers the ground, concealing it from view. Throughout the room, random patches of green moss pop out of the mist. Beyond that, all she can see is the fog.
Hello?
Dawn is about to get off the bed, but hesitates as she looks down at the mist. Eventually, she allows her feet to touch the vapor.
Seems safe.
She finally hops up, finding solid ground only an inch or 2 below the mist.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Hello?
Who said that? Where are you?
I am with you.
Show yourself.
It's probably best I don't. I wouldn't want to scare you. You may call me Omega.
Enough with the cryptic answers. I demand you tell me where I am, and who you are, and what it is that you want with me.
You are on your planet, about 10 feet underground in a hidden location. It's about 57.4596 degrees north, 4.2264 degrees west. You are the one who has been selected to fulfill the purpose of this place, to represent your species, and to choose how we will all proceed.
Okay, weirdo. I'm out of here.
Dawn quickly moves around the room, looking for a door or exit. Soon she realizes there isn't one.
How do I get out of here?
You will be returned to your home once the task is complete, although you may not want to.
What the hell do you want?
You will remain until your task is through.
You're not going to be able to get a ransom or anything.
You will remain until your task is through.
My family isn't rich. My mom's a housewife and my dad owns a bookstore.
You will remain until your task is through.
Why? This is crazy. I'm no one. Just some stupid waitress. Don't you get it? I'm nobody.
Good, that's the point.
Are you really an alien?
It took some convincing, but eventually Dawn accepted the truth. Dawn slowly walks through the strange space. She runs her hand along the walls, getting a better look at the web of 4-colored tech.
If nothing is done, the planet Earth will be uninhabitable by the year 2050. I'm afraid you're beyond the tipping point. Direct intervention is required. We have the power to save your species, your planet, but drastic measures will have to be taken. That's why you're here.
You want me to give you permission?
We can't make this choice for our 2 species to ever have a relationship. Humans, your people aren't known for their forgiveness. You must choose to save yourselves.
Suddenly, a strange green light illuminates the 4 levers on the other side of the room. After a moment, Dawn slowly heads over to them. Dawn finds herself standing in front of the 4 waist-high levers. Each lever has an accompanying tower-style box device with a 2-foot by 2-foot screen on its face.
What do I do?
Simply approach a lever. Put your hand on it. It will tell you its purpose. Choose wisely. Once a lever is pulled, it cannot be undone.
Dawn cautiously approaches the first lever, the one with the blue screen. Dawn puts her hand on the ancient wooden lever. As soon as she does, the blue screen in front of her begins to change. The dust and ancient gunk caked onto the screen begins to crack and fall off. A human face starts to push through. Dawn is so surprised she jumps back, letting go of the lever. As soon as she is no longer touching the device, the blue face recedes back into the flat screen.
What?
She puts her hand on the lever and the face begins to appear again. Soon, a fully formed blue alien head is sticking out.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm sorry. I don't really know how this works exactly.
Do you require further information?
Sure. Let's do that.
At this time, the two most likely things that will end your world is climate change and overpopulation. My solution addresses the latter.
What would you do?
I can unleash a plague the world has never seen. Death will be indiscriminate. Children and adults will all share equal odds of facing oblivion.
How many will die?
91.7% of the population must die in order to avoid catastrophic overpopulation.
Does it really have to be so many?
Given the human race's level of healthcare and technology, it won't take long to repopulate the planet. A larger margin of losses is necessary to compensate.
No. There has to be a better way. I won't just kill everybody. How would I live with myself?
If requested, I can guarantee you would be among those afflicted. You'll never have to see the consequences of your choices. Think of it as a thank you.
Right. I'm okay. Thanks.
Dawn lets go of the lever, and in no time, Blueface turns back into the flat screen. Dawn walks up to the yellow screen. She puts her hand on the lever and a face begins to appear. Another fully formed yellow alien head emerges.
Yellow face?
Dawn.
Wow. You know my name. Don't be stupid. Of course it knows your name. Okay, so how would you... what would you do?
If you refuse to deal with your species' growing numbers, then you must control your deteriorating environment.
Okay, great. Stop pollution, right? Just tell us what we need to do and we'll change. People can change.
Your world governments and industry leaders are corrupt. It's gone too far for too long. The problem cannot be fixed from the inside. The entire system must be torn down, then reimagined, before being replaced. The problems will be removed.
What do you mean by removed?
Literally. Every human that holds a government position, every employee of every leading industry will vanish from the face of the planet. They will simply cease to be.
I mean, that's gotta be better than 91% of the population, right?
There will always be consequences. Without leadership, civilization will break down. Almost all of the world's monetary systems disappear overnight. Those who rely on their wealth and comfort will become nothing more than targets to be pillaged by marauders. Anyone with strength and means to do so will seize power. In most circumstances, the world's nations will dissolve into smaller, more chaotic city-states.
Oh, really? Is that all?
No. Major cities will be hit the hardest. Places like New York, Dubai, Tokyo, Moscow, and Buenos Aires will have the lowest likely survival rate during this transitional period. Most normal members of your society in those areas will certainly perish.
My brother lives in New York. He's only 19.
Take solace in the fact that he, and those like him, will be sacrificing themselves to help the population fall to a more manageable number. The interruption in human advancement will give the Earth time to recover. Your brother will have a more noble end than most of your people get.
No.
Dawn lets go of the lever. Yellowface turns back into a flat screen. She moves to the next one. Dawn walks over to the next lever. This time, she finds herself standing in front of the red screen. She puts her hand on the lever and Redface appears from out of the screen.
Too many of you. Every day another baby. Every hour of every day. Every minute of every hour. 251 every minute. Your population leaks in like water and will soon sink your ship.
I already told Blueface over there, I won't have billions of people killed.
Not killed, prevented. 20 years of infertility. That should be long enough for only a small percentage of humanity to be at proper childbearing age once human beings are able to regain the ability to procreate. Life on your planet will fall back into balance.
How do you know? I mean, you can't see the future, right?
The likelihood of our predictions are based on the statistical...
Right. So it's math. So tell me, what are the chances of things playing out just like you predicted? In numbers.
54%.
Those aren't high odds. So, what is the second most likely?
There's a 32% chance humanity falls victim to despair. The perceived lack of a future makes everyday tasks seem pointless. New religious cults form worldwide. Suicide becomes the leading cause of death in Homo sapiens. By the time infertility ends, your people and culture are degraded beyond repair. Your people eventually fade away.
You're wrong.
What?
Your math is wrong. People would fade away 100%. Guaranteed.
How do you know?
Whatever you are, you might be smart, but you have no idea what it's like to be a human. Anna, my best friend, she's been trying to have a baby for 2 years now. And I don't know if it's gonna happen. She acts like it's no big deal, but I can see it in her eyes. She's losing hope. I won't live in a world like that. The faces of all those women would haunt me.
No one said you had to live. It might be easier to take your life after making your decision. We can help with that, if you like.
Dawn moves away from the red face. Just like before, when she lets go of the lever, Redface turns back into a flat screen. Dawn, overwhelmed by all of this, falls to her knees.
Oh my god! No! No, 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 no!
Dawn, why have you stopped?
I'm going to die. Aren't I?
That's up to you.
Don't give me that! It doesn't matter what I choose. This is the end. Everything will be gone.
Yes. You still have one choice left.
Slowly, Dawn pulls herself together and heads over to the purple screen. She puts her hand on the lever and Purple Face appears.
You've all gone too far. Lived too greedily. Ignored the effects of your lust while you pillaged your limited supplies. Even when a less destructive option presented itself. Humans always picked what was easy, fast, what served them in the moment.
We can change!
When? Even when the truth is burning all around you. Most won't even admit it's happening until they are the ones feeling the heat.
This is about climate, right? What if we all stop driving tomorrow? I don't know, we could go back to horses or something.
It wouldn't be enough. Your species has managed to find multiple ways to release carbon into Earth's atmosphere. No one person or government can implement true global cooperation.
But you can somehow? That's what happens if I pull this lever?
If you pick my option, I will shut down all advanced technology across the entire planet.
What, like an EMP? How would that help anything? Wouldn't people just rebuild in no time?
Not if they don't know how. The world must forget. Everyone on the planet will wake up as if for the first time. You'll be like children set loose upon an unfamiliar world. The human potential to learn, imagine, invent, and create will not be lost. Merely reset. It'll be up to all of you to forge a new culture based on nothing that exists now.
So your plan is to just knock us back down to cavemen?
Crudely put. Yes.
Dawn lets go of the lever, causing Purpleface to revert back into a flat screen. Dawn wanders into the center of the room and begins yelling in no particular direction.
Hey, Omega! Show yourself! If you expect me to do this, I'm gonna have to see you. The real you!
Very well.
Suddenly, from out of the shadows, a 3.5-foot tall gray alien steps forward.
Is that it? Did you simply need to see me in order to believe?
Tell me the truth. Why did you build this room? This place is ancient. How did you know we would even get to this point? Did your people orchestrate all of this?
Of course. We're just taking responsibility for our actions.
I don't understand.
Millions of years ago, my people came to this planet. We were explorers and scientists. One of our experiments involved genetic manipulation. We took an indigenous primate from this planet and combined bits of our own DNA to create you, modern Homo sapien.
Dawn stares at Omega dumbfounded.
We knew if left unchecked, humanity would likely get to the point you're at now. So when we left Earth, the decision was made to eliminate the species. We facilitated a flood greater than this planet had ever seen previously.
Noah's Ark?
Every culture on your Earth has a flood myth. Pick one.
So what? You couldn't kill all your lab rats? Is that it?
We never wanted this to happen. This place was built after some of your ancestors survived as an act of mercy.
This isn't fair. Why are you making me do this? How am I supposed to choose? I can't let you do this to us.
You did this to yourselves. We're not your conquerors. I'm only offering you a way to save yourselves.
Well, why me? Why not the president or the scientist? What makes me so special?
Nothing! You're just a human. It could have been any one of you. Any age, any gender, any race. You're no better than anyone else, and that's the point.
We can change. Please, don't make me do this!
You can choose to do nothing if you wish. Although doing nothing is how humanity got here.
I won't do it. You can't make me.
If that is what you wish. But like all your choices, there will be consequences. I will leave you here, alone. I will return in a year with someone new, and they will choose a leaver, or their bones will be found lying next to yours by the next human chosen. One way or another, humanity will choose.
Omega disappears into the shadowy foliage, leaving Dawn alone to mourn. She lets her emotions loose. Slowly, Dawn calms down. She takes a moment to silently decide. Once she does, she stands up, heads over to one of the levers, and pulls it.
Ha 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 ha! There you go, guys. What did you think? What lever do you think Dawn pulled? As the writer, I know which one she pulled, but I have to ask, man, if you guys have an opinion, you could always hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. And Ryan, what do you think? Would you make the entire world forget? Would you kill the population? What would you do in a situation where you had to stop humanity from its devastating path?
You know what? I don't think I'm qualified to pull the lever.
That's fair. I'm glad that we didn't have to make that choice. And unfortunately, guys, you don't have a choice either in the fact that this episode is over.
Deal with it.
That's right. We're leaving. We're going home. But in a few days, we are going to be at the 3rd annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference. So if you want to see us, you want to get some merch, make sure to go to Eventbrite and get your tickets. It's in Farmingdale, New Jersey, and it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, and so I guess that's about it. From all of us here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya!
And goodbye.